Have you ever looked at a woman you genuinely wanted, tried everything you thought was right, and still felt invisible to her? You texted first. You gave attention. You stayed available. You tried to be understanding. And somehow, another man with less effort, less kindness, maybe even less looks, captured her attention without chasing at all. And now, you're sitting there wondering what's wrong with you. You replay conversations in your head. You wonder if you said too much or not enough. You notice how quickly her energy changes when another guy enters the room. Suddenly, she's laughing harder, looking deeper, leaning closer. And the worst part is this. You know you have more to offer, but she never felt it. I'm here to tell you something important. This was never your fault. Nobody taught you this. I'm here, and this is Secret Mind Code, where we uncover the real psychology that creates desire. Most men believe attraction is built through effort alone. More texts, more compliments, more availability. But female attraction rarely works that way. Attraction is emotional first, logical second. A woman doesn't decide desire the way she chooses a product online. Her subconscious scans for emotional experiences, energy, tension, safety, curiosity, polarity, deep patterns she often cannot even explain herself. And I'll warn you now, the final one is incredibly powerful. It can change everything fast, and almost no one uses it correctly. See, women are constantly reading signals beneath words. Evolutionary psychology calls these rapid subconscious evaluations mental shortcuts. In seconds, her brain asks questions she may never say out loud. Does this man feel grounded? Does he need validation? Does he create emotional movement? Does he have purpose outside of me? Does being around him feel emotionally alive? That is the real game. Not tricks, not manipulation, not pretending to be someone else. Real tools, real psychology. Once you understand these hidden signals, something changes. You stop chasing reactions. You stop performing. And slowly, you become the kind of man women feel drawn toward naturally. The first trigger is masculine presence. Not muscles, not money, presence. Most men leak nervous energy the moment they like a woman. They rush, over-explain, talk too much, react too quickly. Their attention becomes desperate before intimacy even exists. And women feel that instantly. Masculine presence is grounded energy, calm certainty, emotional stability under pressure. It's the feeling that you are okay whether she accepts you or not. That changes everything. Because emotionally, women are attracted to men who feel centered in themselves. A grounded nervous system creates emotional safety and sexual polarity at the same time. That combination is rare. Imagine this. You're on a date. She says something playful and slightly challenging. Most men panic internally. They try harder to impress her. But you smile slowly, you hold eye contact, you stay relaxed, you answer calmly instead of defensively. Suddenly, she feels tension. Curiosity? Respect? Why? Because you didn't emotionally collapse for approval. That's presence. And here's the secret. Presence is often more attractive than appearance because presence affects how she feels around you. Her body responds before her logic does. Slow down, breathe slower, move with intention. Grounded men create emotional gravity. The second trigger is emotional challenge. Women do not emotionally bond through comfort alone. They bond through emotional movement, contrast, playfulness, polarity. Most men become too predictable too quickly. They agree with everything. They avoid tension. They become emotionally flat, safe, but forgettable. Attraction needs emotional stimulation, not drama, not toxicity. Challenge, a playful tease, a confident disagreement, a smile that says you are not trying to win her approval every second. This creates dopamine, anticipation, emotional engagement. For example, imagine she says, "You're probably trouble." Most men instantly defend themselves. "No, I'm actually really nice." Wrong energy. Instead, you grin slightly and say, "You'll have to earn that answer." Feel the difference? One response seeks validation. The other creates emotional tension. And tension matters. Women remember men who make them feel emotionally awake. Now listen carefully. Emotional challenge is never about disrespect. Never about games. It's about showing her you have your own center, your own personality, your own edge. Because polarity creates attraction. A man without edge feels emotionally invisible. The third trigger is selective attention. This one destroys neediness fast. A woman wants to feel chosen, not worshipped. There's a massive difference. When a man immediately gives unlimited attention, his attention loses value. Scarcity changes perception. Human psychology has always worked this way. We emotionally value what feels earned. Men with purpose naturally create this dynamic because their lives are already full. Mission, friends, fitness, goals, growth. They do not orbit around one woman after 2 conversations. And women feel that. It signals value without words. Now let's make this real. Imagine she texts you. Instead of replying in 3 seconds every single time, you respond when you're actually free. Not strategically, naturally, because your life genuinely matters to you. Or maybe you end the conversation first occasionally because you need to get back to work, training, or something meaningful. Suddenly, she feels your absence. And absence creates emotional space for desire. Most men suffocate attraction by over-pursuing before emotional investment exists. Attention is powerful. Use it intentionally. If this is making sense so far, hit subscribe and join Secret Mind Code community. It helps more men learn what they were never taught. Now we move deeper. The fourth trigger is intentional listening. This one surprises most men. Women are constantly talking to men who only hear words. Very few men actually hear emotions, patterns, meaning. Intentional listening creates emotional intimacy faster than endless talking. Why? Because being emotionally seen is rare. When you remember small details, her subconscious feels important to you in a deeper way. Not objectified, not managed, seen. For example, maybe weeks earlier she casually mentioned loving bookstores near the rain or feeling nervous before presentations. Later you bring it up naturally. "Hey, how did that presentation go?" Simple, powerful. Or maybe she says she misses traveling because life feels repetitive lately. Instead of instantly giving advice, you pause and say, "Sounds like you miss feeling alive more than the travel itself." That hits emotionally because you listened beneath the surface. Women emotionally connect to men who understand emotional nuance, not men who rush to impress. Most attraction begins with emotional resonance. Listen deeper. The fifth trigger is calibrated vulnerability. This is where many men either become emotionally unavailable or emotionally overwhelming. Both kill attraction. Women do not want robots, but they also do not want emotional chaos. Calibrated vulnerability means sharing real parts of yourself without collapsing into self-pity or emotional dependence. There's strength in honesty when it comes from groundedness. For example, maybe you admit that you used to struggle with confidence after a difficult period in your life, but you focused on discipline and growth instead of blaming the world. That creates connection. Why? Because emotional honesty combined with self-respect signals maturity. A woman wants to feel that you are emotionally capable, not emotionally suppressed. But timing matters. Dumping trauma too early creates pressure. Oversharing to gain sympathy destroys polarity, but revealing genuine human depth over time creates trust and intimacy. She starts seeing the man behind the surface. And that matters deeply, because real attraction is emotional and psychological, not just visual. Strong men feel deeply. They simply stay grounded while doing it. The sixth trigger is gradual physical touch. Most men either avoid touch completely or rush it too aggressively. Both create disconnection. Physical touch is psychological before it's physical. When done respectfully and gradually, touch releases oxytocin, trust chemicals, emotional bonding, comfort mixed with attraction. But calibration is everything. A light touch on her arm while laughing, guiding her gently through a crowded space. Holding eye contact slightly longer before breaking it. Small moments, not forced moves. You are creating emotional safety and tension simultaneously. That combination is powerful. And women notice when touch feels intentional instead of needy. Imagine this. You're sitting beside her. She says something funny. You laugh, touch her hand briefly, then continue naturally without making it a huge moment. No desperation. No pressure. That calmness changes how she experiences you physically. Women often decide whether touch feels attractive based on the emotional energy behind it. Neediness feels uncomfortable. Grounded confidence feels magnetic. Move slowly. Respect boundaries. Let tension breathe. Now we arrive at the final trigger, controlled unpredictability. This one changes everything because it directly affects dopamine and emotional anticipation. Human beings become emotionally attached to rewarding uncertainty. Not confusion, not manipulation, anticipation. Most men become completely predictable once interested. Same texts, same reactions, same patterns. No mystery, no emotional movement. The brain stops anticipating. And anticipation is where desire grows. Controlled unpredictability means she cannot fully predict your emotional rhythm, your timing, or your next move. But she still feels emotionally safe with you. That distinction matters. For example, maybe after an amazing date, instead of instantly flooding her with messages all night, you leave space. You let the experience breathe. She replays it in her mind. Or maybe you unexpectedly invite her somewhere spontaneous that connects to something she once mentioned loving. Suddenly she feels surprise, novelty, emotional stimulation. Dopamine increases during anticipation more than reward itself. That's real psychology. Women become deeply intrigued by men who create emotional experiences instead of predictable routines. But remember this carefully. Controlled unpredictability is not hot and cold manipulation. It's not ignoring her to gain power. It's maintaining your own rhythm, your own mission, your own emotional center. You are not performing scarcity. You are living fully. And ironically, that's what makes you more desirable. Now here's what most men never realize. A woman becoming interested in you often has less to do with convincing her and more to do with changing the emotional experience she has around you. Desire is emotional association. If being around you feels tense, needy, approval-seeking, or emotionally heavy, attraction fades no matter how hard you try. But if being around you feels grounded, playful, emotionally alive, intentional, and safe at the same time, something powerful happens. Her guard lowers. Her curiosity grows. She starts thinking about you when you are absent. And suddenly, the woman who seemed uninterested begins leaning in emotionally. Not because you manipulated her, because your energy changed. This is why some men struggle for years while others naturally attract attention without forcing anything. The difference is usually emotional calibration, not worth. Read that again in your mind. You were never broken. You were simply never taught how attraction actually works. And once you understand that, the desperation starts disappearing. You stop obsessing over every text, every delayed reply, every interaction. You stop trying to perform your value constantly because real value does not beg to be recognized. It radiates quietly. Women notice men who are emotionally centered because emotional stability is rare today. Most people are reactive, attention starved, validation dependent. But grounded men feel different. They create emotional contrast. And attraction often begins with contrast. Now, I want you to think honestly about your own patterns. Have you been over-explaining yourself? Seeking reassurance too early? Giving unlimited attention before emotional investment exists? Ignoring your own mission to focus entirely on one woman? Most men have. No shame in that, but now you know better. Now you understand why chasing usually backfires, why over-texting kills tension, why trying too hard often creates emotional pressure instead of attraction. Female psychology is deeply connected to emotional perception. She responds to how you make her nervous system feel. Safe, yet excited. Calm, yet curious. Comfortable, yet stimulated. That balance matters, and none of this requires pretending to be alpha. Loud, arrogant, cold. In fact, many women are exhausted by performative masculinity. Real masculine energy is calm, steady eye contact, intentional words, emotional self-control, purpose outside relationships, warmth without neediness. That combination is rare, and rarity creates attraction. You also need to understand something difficult but freeing. Not every woman will want you. And that's okay. These principles are not magic spells. They are tools that increase attraction naturally and authentically, but chemistry still matters. Timing still matters. Compatibility still matters. Your goal is not to force desire. Your goal is to become the kind of man who naturally creates it more often. There's freedom in that mindset, because once you stop trying to control outcomes, your energy changes immediately. Women can feel when a man is interacting from abundance instead of fear. Fear chases, abundance attracts. That's why emotionally healthy confidence feels magnetic. It's relaxed, unforced, present. And here's another truth most men ignore. Women often test emotional strength unconsciously. Not to hurt you, but to understand you. They challenge boundaries, delay responses, shift moods, pull away slightly. Reactive men panic, grounded men observe calmly. That calmness communicates emotional security. And emotional security creates trust. A woman wants to feel that your emotional state is not controlled by her temporary reactions. That is power. Quiet power. And once you build that internally, every interaction changes. Your voice slows down. Your eye contact deepens. Your texting becomes cleaner. Your presence becomes stronger. Not because you memorized lines, because your identity shifted. That's the real transformation. Most men search for tricks when what they actually need is emotional mastery. The moment you stop treating women like judges deciding your worth, attraction becomes easier, cleaner, more natural. You stop asking, how do I make her like me? And you start asking, what emotional experience does she have around me? That question changes everything, because attraction is rarely logical. It's biological, emotional, subconscious, built through repeated emotional moments that create anticipation, safety, tension, and curiosity together. And when you understand those patterns, you stop feeling powerless. You stop feeling invisible. You stop feeling like every interaction is a test you are doomed to fail. Instead, you become intentional. calibrated, grounded. That is the man women remember. Not the loudest man, not the richest man, not the man who begged hardest, the man who made her feel something real. Use these tools with respect and intention. Never manipulation, never games. Real attraction should create connection, not confusion. And remember this, you do not need perfection. You need strategy. You need awareness. You need emotional discipline. That's it. Because the truth is, most men are only a few psychological adjustments away from becoming dramatically more attractive. Not fake attractive. Real attractive. The kind of attractive that changes how women respond to your energy before you even speak. So stop seeing yourself as rejected. See yourself as untaught. That shift alone changes your future. If you're ready to stop chasing and start becoming the man women genuinely desire, subscribe to Secret Mind Code now. Turn on notifications because the next one will shift your reality again.